You're wondering, this is a Mario movie review. Well, how big of a Mario fan are you? Well, if you've seen the stuff on my channel before, you know a decent amount. But just to clarify even further, my second favorite game is of course Mario 64, and here's the first. So, I think it's fair to say I'm a pretty big Mario fan. And so this movie, well, should appeal to me, right? I mean, I would think I'd be the target audience as well. I mean, not just me, little kids also, but this movie definitely was trying to appeal to Mario fans. So how much did I like it? The answer? Quite a bit. So I really did not know what I was getting into when I was going into the theater to watch this movie. I mean, I sort of, you know, video game adaptations don't have the best history, but like, even besides that, even if we take that all out of the situation, what really sort of, I mean, I just didn't know what to expect, just because looking at the trailers, you know, this looks like the kind of movie that could have easily been very, very bad. And I mean, like, even though Nintendo was working, you know, alongside Illumination to make this movie, this is a movie that felt like, you know, it was either going to be okay or it was going to be very bad. Luckily, it was neither of those things. I thought it was actually a good time. And so, before I get into the positives, I'll just quickly, you know, because there's going to be a lot of talking good about this movie, I'll quickly talk about, you know, the negatives, what I didn't like. I mean, I can't really say I didn't like this, but the plot was basic. Like, the plot was incredibly basic. I mean, it's a Mario movie. You know, if you ever played a Mario game, you know that the plot is always, Bowser's trying to rule the world, let's stop him. And, I mean, normally it's, Bowser's rule the world and kidnap Peach, let's stop him. But they sort of changed that up a little bit by making Peach actually do more than just ask for Mario to save her in this movie. A change I quite liked, by the way. But I'll get, you know, we're talking about the negatives now. And so, yeah, the plot of this movie, Bowser wants to rule the world. He wants to marry Peach. That's bad. We have to stop him. And also, something else I found really weird was, it was sort of an Alice in Wonderland kind of thing, where Mario and Luigi, for some reason, they actually were plumbers from Manhattan. I don't know if that's just because somehow they were trying to reference like the original TV show and the original movie, but I thought that was a weird change to make, because, you know, okay, so like the first 5 to 10 minutes, they're in Manhattan, then they go to the Mushroom Kingdom, and then they're in the Mushroom Kingdom for the entire movie, except for the very end, where they come back to Manhattan, like, for the final scenes of the film. And so I thought that was just a weird choice. Like, I get that you want him to I guess be the everyman and sort of, you know, experience all these things for the first time, but you know, like the power-ups and the craziness of all, you know, all the different people and whatnot. But I still sort of felt like you could have had that happen without having him be, you know, like you could have had him exist in that world. Maybe, okay, so maybe he's not from the Mushroom Kingdom. Maybe he's in a different land, because they show that, you know, there are different lands. Like, you have the Mushroom Kingdom, you have the Ice Kingdom, you have the, you know, the jungle area where DK is. Like, you could have had him be like in like a small farming land or something. I don't know why farming, but whatever. You can have him be from that world, and have, you know, still have him be an outsider, not have him just be from Manhattan. So I thought that was weird. Also, I mean, there's this little thing with Peach that goes a little unresolved. I mean, this is a bit of a minor spoiler, but it really does not play into the plot that much. So I guess, you know, you just skip ahead a little if you're worried about spoilers. But this weird thing with Peach where they sort of set up, I think it was like halfway through the movie, that what you call it, that Peach was actually like from the human world, or at least she was from somewhere else, but she went to the Mushroom Kingdom as a baby, and then the Toads adopted her and made her the princess. But and so there was sort of like, oh, like I wonder what your world is like, Mario. Like, I wonder how different that is. But then, like, when they actually do go back to Manhattan at the very end of the movie, which I'd be surprised, I guess it's a spoiler. I'd be very surprised if you thought they'd start out in Manhattan and then would never go back. But, and when they do go back there, Peach doesn't ever really mention that again. So, I mean, it didn't, like, break the movie or anything, but I just thought that was weird. Weird choice to just, like, have that and not have it go anywhere. Remember, there's something else. There was something else I wanted to say. I think that was it. I think those were the only real nitpicks I had. Oh, no, actually, no, there was one more. So when Peach goes back to the Toads after, like, they lost Mario, she's like, oh, and we lost Mario, and the Toads all gasp and go, oh, and that was just, it was just a continuity error more than anything else, because when Peach was leaving with Mario, the Toads were all like, oh, who's that? Like, who's joining you? And Peach was like, that doesn't matter. So then it's kind of funny to see the Toads go like, oh, the main character, no! How could we lose the main character that we've only seen for 5 seconds in this movie? And that was like really the only thing that I found like ironically funny about this movie. So now that we got the bad out of the way, let's talk about what's great, because really everything else is really good. So the first thing I want to give a shout out to is the sound design people. So I'm gonna put it on screen. I found on IMDb like the sound department people. They deserve all the credit in the world. Those people did such a good job. Because it's really clever. Whoever was in charge of the sound design, because they had 2 real world songs in there. They had "Take on Me" and I don't remember what the second one was off the top of my head, but then like the rest of the songs, they were like Mario songs, and they did do the basic boom, but they also had like a lot of actual Mario other stuff. Like one that I remember is they had the Mario 3 athletics theme, that one. But there were more, but like they wove these other songs like into the story, into what was going on screen really, really well, actually. Like they did a good job. And like if you didn't know these songs, you probably just think, oh, like these songs like just really work with the scene, they're not overbearing, like they just really, really fit for what's going on right now. And it turns out they were Mario songs. And also the song at the end, so after it's fade to black and they were showing the credits, this orchestra band, whatever it was, they were doing they're doing a medley basically of different Mario songs, and it was great. It sounded so good. I really want to give props to this band, orchestra, whatever. You guys did a great job in this movie. It was really, really good. And also something else, you're talking about things that surprised me, the casting. When it was first revealed in that Nintendo Direct, like who the cast was, I don't want to say I was a bit turned off. I think I was a bit confused. Everybody except for maybe Jack Black. But it just felt a bit confusing. Like, this is who these characters are? Like, I couldn't see it. I couldn't see how these people could become, these characters and make it work. And boy, was I wrong, because they were all really good. They all did their jobs really well. Especially, I didn't want to give shout out to Chris Pratt, because I was sort of doubting it a little bit. Like, when you're in the first trailer and you hear the Mushroom Kingdom, here we come. Which, that line's not in the actual movie, by the way. At least I don't remember it being in the movie. I was like, oh, this isn't going to be that good. Like, that's just Chris Pratt talking as himself. right? Like I didn't really see him morphing to the Mario voice there. I was like, that's literally just him talking in the mic. But he did not sound like that at all in this movie. Like made it, he did. I mean, he didn't go as, they didn't go as over the top with the accent, like as they do in the games. But like he did sound like Mario, and he didn't have, like the proper accent. And so, he did a good job there. Charlie Day as Luigi was great. Charlie Day as Luigi did such a good job. Luigi, out of the, the main characters who were featured in the movie, Luigi's easily my favorite, and he did a really good job. I really, really liked him as Luigi. Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong. I mean, I don't really know how to feel about Seth Rogen. I don't really know enough about him, because celebrity drama is not really my thing. But I can say, I mean, he did a good job. He sort of did what he had to do. I didn't think his performance, like it's not, it's a top notch, but like it worked. He did his role. He served his role as Donkey Kong in this movie. And also, speaking of Donkey Kong, there's something I want to quickly mention here. Donkey Kong with the fire flower suit, fire. Like that looks so good. Donkey Kong with the fire flower suit. It honestly made me think, like, I want Donkey Kong in a future Mario game, like platformer, like as a playable character. I want Donkey Kong in a future Mario game, just so I can see what he looks like with the different power-ups. Like I want to see what Donkey Kong looks like, in more power-ups. Like, can you imagine like Boomerang Donkey Kong? Like I want to see what that looks like so badly. And so I hope we do get that opportunity in the future. That's not something I ever thought about, like, wanting in a Mario game, but like after seeing Donkey Kong in a Fire Flowers, absolutely, we need to see Donkey Kong in a Mario game just so we can get those see what Donkey Kong looks like in those power-ups. Anya Taylor Joy is Princess Peach. This sort of goes into what they did changing the character, because I think Anya Taylor Joy was great for what they did with this Princess Peach, because this Princess Peach is not really reflective of Princess Peach in the games at all. And like, I mean that, and really, that was a great change. I do not like Princess Peach in the games at all. I am not a fan, because all she really does is like ask Mario to save her. That's like literally her entire personality. That's her entire character trait. Her entire character trait is going, Mario, save me. That's literally everything she does right there in the Mario games. And like, she doesn't increase her security at all to maybe stop trying to get kidnapped by Bowser, because I'm sort of convinced that she has Stockholm Syndrome. And is actually kind of in love with Bowser, but I don't know, like, she doesn't want to admit it to herself. I don't know. It's weird. I don't like it. And so I like that they actually made Peach like a kind of badass. Like, she was able to actually do shit by herself. She was able to do work. And so I really like that. And so Anya Taylor Joy, like, she played this version of Princess Peach really well. She was really good for that. And actually, they did have her, I think twice, they did have her do the, Mario scream. And she did a good job at that too. So Anya Taylor Joy was really good. And obviously, you've been paying attention. Actually, wait. Before that, Keegan-Michael Key as Toad. I mean, I don't know what to say. It's Keegan-Michael Key as Toad, which I thought was absolutely absurd when it was revealed. But like, watching this movie, I was like, that's Keegan-Michael Key, like, doing this voice? Like, are you sure? Because the voice it worked so well. It was so good. Keegan-Michael Key's Toad voice, I want to see more of it. Like legit. I really was in the theater being like, how is this Keegan-Michael Key doing this voice right now? It was crazy. And yes, there we go. We're going to talk about it now. Obviously, I missed one. Jack Black as Bowser. Oh my god, he carried this movie. It's sort of crazy that I legitimately thought this, but I did legitimately think this leaving the theater, which was Jack Black should get something for this movie. I mean, I don't know if the Oscars have Best Villain, but like he should at least be nominated for Best Supporting Actor because he was just so good. And Bowser, they had the most levels of in this movie, and this is sort of the transition into like just how goofy this movie was, because Bowser, I mean, he was this strong evil person, but they also really leaned into that part that they've been having in some of the more recent games, where Bowser's also in love with Peach and wants to marry Peach. They really leaned into that too. Like Bowser, like whenever Bowser sees Peach and Mario getting along, he gets super jealous and starts like freaking out. And like honestly, I think one of my favorite scenes in the movie is, I don't want to spoil it, I don't want to say what happens like in terms of spoilers, like I would talk about everything but from the plot but this scene, because it was that worth it, that worth experiencing for the first time. Is there's this scene where he's professing his love to the audience, right? I mean, Peach isn't there, but he's sort of talking to himself about like how much he loves Peach, and it is absolutely drop dead hilarious. It is amazing. It is great. And like that's what I mean by like Jack Black had to do so much in this movie, was because he had to be this big strong villain, right? He's a big strong villain who destroys the penguins in like the first scene, but who's also like this really sensitive, jealous guy, about Peach, who somehow convinced himself that Peach would love him. Like you have all these layers of Bowser, and it's he nailed them all. He killed it. It was great. Like they could have easily made Bowser an anti-hero, right? Like I like how in Super Paper Mario and Bowser's Inside Story, Bowser's kind of like, he's not really super evil, but he's also like an anti-hero, right? Like there's another villain and Bowser's there like actually helping out the heroes somehow, which is really cool. And actually, speaking of, if they bring back Fawful, if they bring Fawful in, oh my god, that would be so much fun. If we get to hear a live action person saying, I have chortles, or it was me, or beef Fawful is lacking in beef, or it is I who added the nuts to the statue. Like there's so many great things you can do with Fawful. Oh my god, if they bring him back, I'll be so happy. But anyway, completely different, unrelated. I think it would be cool if they brought him back. Also, I don't remember if I talked about this or not. This may get cut out in editing, but my boy Dry Bones. They had a scene with Dry Bones in it. It was just the one from the trailer with Luigi being chased by Dry Bones, but that was really cool. That was really fun to see. My boy Dry Bones was in the Mario movie. It was great. And so also I'll say something I was a little disappointed about was Boo. There was no Boo. Boo wasn't in the movie. Just straight up. And that's kind of sad. And this might be a little, I don't know if it's controversial, but so these are my two favorite Mario characters right here. And I know like my channel was like all Dry Bones because of, like here's my profile picture. Dry Bones T-posing. Dry Bones is asserting dominance over you all because he's the best. And anybody who doesn't think so is wrong. And obviously all my Mario Kart videos, Dry Bones is the one I'm playing as, because how could you not play as Dry Bones? You're just wrong if you don't pick Dry Bones. I'm sorry. There's no other way to say it. It's either Dry Bones or Get Out. Anyway, that's obviously, you can pick who you want in Mario Kart. I don't really care. Just joking around. But Boo is also my tie with my favorite, and it's just, I don't know. It feels like there hasn't been as much Boo love recently, except for Luigi's Mansion, the new Luigi's Mansion. But like, it's not in the, you can only play as King Boo in Mario Kart, which, King Boo's cool, but I always play lightweights in Mario Kart, so I would like a regular Boo, in there also. King Boo, actually Boo was in Super Mario Party, so that's true, and so was Dry Bones. But I was gonna say, it wasn't in Mario Party Superstars, But whatever. We need more Boo love, because Boo wasn't in this movie, disappointingly. I mean, I know they can't include everything in, right? Like, I'm sure the Monty Mole fans are gonna be like, where's Monty Mole? I saw no Monty Mole in this, and it's like, you know what? Well, Boo's better, so you get on the Boo train or get out. But again, I'm joking. Obviously, you can like who you like. I don't really. You can like who you like. I'm just playing a bit, doing a bit. But yeah, I thought like when Luigi stepped in the mansion, which was obviously a reference to Luigi's Mansion, I thought he was gonna be captured by Boos. I thought I was gonna walk around and hear Boos laughing at him, and then he was gonna get captured. But no, he got captured by Shy Guys instead. So, oh well. I hope we get something Boo related in the future, in the movies, if they're going to do movies. And so, yeah. So the Easter eggs, also, perfect transition. They were just a lot of fun. I mean, that's just really what they were. They were great. They were a lot of fun. They were fun to laugh at, but they didn't drag down the plot at all. Right? It wasn't like, if you didn't know the Easter egg, you weren't going to be screwed out of like, what's this? Right? You're not going to be standing there for like 2 minutes being like, what's this reference that I don't understand? No, like, you're not going to be like that at all. The Easter eggs, they're there for a second and then they're gone, which I think is how Easter eggs should be handled in general. Because I sort of like stories that are standalone, that you don't really have to know everything else for. And so it was nice to see that there were these Easter eggs. But like, you could have never played a Mario game in your life, and you can still have a great time with this movie. And so that was just a lot of fun to see. Obviously, if you have played Mario games, you might have more of a good time because you'll understand more of the references. But this movie was made so anybody can see it. You could not know a single thing about Mario except for that Luigi is his brother, which I would be surprised if you didn't know that. And you'll have a really good time with this movie. And so that sort of brings me into the verdict, which is, this movie is a great time. It just is. I wouldn't really recommend watching this movie alone. I mean, you can watch it alone and you can still have a good time. But I think this is one of those movies that you should either watch it with friends or you should not watch it at all. Well, I guess that's not true. I wouldn't say not watch it. I'm not watching it at all. This is either one of those movies that you should... This is one of the movies that you should watch with your friends. And if you can't watch it with friends right now, wait so you can watch it with them. Like, even if you don't want to watch it in theaters and you want to wait for it to go on whatever service it's going to go on to, definitely, you can still gather around friends, maybe grab some beers. I don't drink, but, it could be a good time. And just have a good time. You will have a good time with this movie. Like if you... I'll put it this way. The only way you will not have a good time for this movie is if you have too high expectations. If you are going into this movie expecting a masterful work about Mario saving the world, go somewhere else. Like, don't watch this movie if that's what you're expecting. And because you shouldn't be expecting that, it's a Mario movie. If you know anything about the Mario game's plot, you should not be going into this movie expecting some kind of masterpiece. But if you go into this movie just looking to have a good time, looking to have an enjoyable experience, this movie will absolutely do that for you. Guys, this is just so much fun. This movie was so much fun to watch, and watching with friends. Like, there were so many different times where we just popped off, especially the end credits scene, which when it was revealed, I'll talk about it in a second, I guess, since I just mentioned it. But, when he was like, yo, like, it's so much fun, like, that's sick. Just go watch it. Just go watch this movie. You will have a great time with it. As me and my friends were just laughing, like, throughout so many different parts of this movie. It's great. It's so much fun. You'll have a great time. I'm going to stop saying that now. So, go watch it. So now, I will say, I'll talk about the end credits scene really quickly. So, if you don't want to see it, if you don't want to know what the end credits scene is, go away. I mean, I don't mean that that came out wrong. If you don't want to know what the end credit scene is, I mean, that's going to be the last thing I'm talking about. So, you know, feel free to just click off. And thank you for watching this far. So I'll just quickly talk about what the end credit scene is. So I won't talk about what the first one was. It doesn't really have any lore implications. It was just an extension of that scene that I really don't want to spoil. You know, that even though I talked about spoilers before, I don't want to spoil that scene because it was so great. It was an extension of that scene and is purely played for the jokes, which I did laugh at. So, I mean, it did its job. But I'm most concerned about the second end credit scene, which has actual lore implications. And so I was fairly convinced it was going to be Rosalina. I was like, okay, this is it. They're going to show off Rosalina right now. Mario Galaxy, come on. I want it to happen. Because obviously, you know, like I said, Mario Galaxy is my favorite game of all time. So I would love if they do like a Mario Galaxy movie as a sequel or something like that. That would be so much fun. But also, I really I mean, this is more me talking about now why I love Mario Galaxy, which I will at some point. I don't know when I will make that video, but I can absolutely tell you at some point in the future, as you know, if I do continue doing this, that video is going to happen. But I really like Rosalina's as a character. I really like her backstory, you know, and so like it would be cool to see her like to see that done justice. And so especially because there was a Luma, like there actually was a legit Luma in this movie. And so I thought it was like, oh, okay, it's gonna happen. Luma, I was you know, it was a Luma, and in that medley that I praised earlier, which I hope they release that just as a song. I mean, I don't know if they released the soundtrack at all, but like I would legit like look into buying that soundtrack personally. Like if they did, like that was good, and that medley was so good. But the last song in that medley was a Mario Galaxy song. I want to say it was Gusty Garden, but I don't fully remember. So, but whatever, it was a Mario Galaxy song. So I was like, oh, they're doing it. They're playing the Mario Galaxy music before they release Rosalina. And I mean, that was right before the first end credit scene, so that wasn't it. But I still was like, the last thing we heard was the Mario Galaxy music. Like, come on, they're gonna do it. It's gonna be Rosalina. It wasn't actually. So it was Yoshi. Right. So you know, it was back in the place where you know Mario and Luigi got transported to Mushroom Kingdom. There was a Yoshi egg. It started to crack. You heard Yoshi. Which, I mean, that's cool. I like Yoshi a lot. You know, like, it's probably, I mean, maybe he's my third favorite Mario character. He probably is my third favorite Mario character. But like, out of like the major, you know, Mario characters, Yoshi's easily my favorite. So that's cool, but it's also interesting to see like what this has like for implications. Like, obviously people have been talking about, I don't know like how seriously, like it seems like somewhat as a joke, somewhat serious, the Nintendo Cinematic Universe. This will be interesting because they can go really two ways with Yoshi. You know, it'd be interesting to see how they handle it, because I sort of feel like how they handle Yoshi will be indicative of whether that's legit and then whether they actually are doing like a video gaming movie universe. Because Yoshi could go two ways. They could do a second Super Mario Brothers movie with Yoshi in it, right? You know, like in how Mario Galaxy, you know, Mario Galaxy 2 as Yoshi, right? You know, they go, let's further expand on this with Yoshi. You know, you could do like that, or they could just do Yoshi's Island. You know, they could do like just a movie all about Yoshis. And so that would be really exciting, because if they do the Yoshi's Island one, that's like, okay, they're doing more universe stuff. And it'll be interesting to see like with Pokemon what they do with that, because do they do a reset? Do they continue off of with Detective Pikachu? Do they go off of like the anime and Ash Ketchum? Like, I don't know. I mean, this is obviously all speculation, but Pokemon will have to be a part of it. If this is legit, and they are actually doing a Nintendo Cinematic Universe, Pokemon is going to have to be in there somewhere. So it'll be interesting to see how they handle Pokemon. If they handle Pokemon, I think I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit, though. But so that'll be interesting to see. Although, really, if we're going to do other franchises, I really hope we get a really good Zelda movie. I mean, Metroid would be cool, but I didn't, Metroid and Fire Emblem. I'm going to throw Fire Emblem then too. Fire Emblem in there too, because you could do a really good story with both of those. But that would be tough to do kid-friendly, because those games are not really kid-friendly. I mean, I guess Metroid kind of is if you overlook actually what's going on in the story, and Fire Emblem 2. Like, if you ignore the fact that Three Houses is just about how war is a really, really bad thing, and it's about how you're killing, like, these people you've been around with for, like, 50 hours, at that point in the game, like, if you ignore all of that, I guess you could say it's a children's game, but it's really not. And so, I sort of feel like those would be ones they would be less willing to do, unless they knew they were going full in on this idea. But Zelda, I think they could do. Zelda, I think you can have a really well-constructed plot that is kid-appropriate. Or at least, that kids can watch, let's just say. And so I hope they do Zelda. That will be really, really cool. And I hope they don't butcher it. Because Zelda, I mean, Mario you could butcher too. But I feel like in terms of the story, Zelda is one that you could just get wrong so easily. And so I really, really hope that if they do a Zelda movie, it's really good. It's just as good as this one. Obviously, I wouldn't expect a Zelda movie to be as fun, as lighthearted, fun, and goofy as this one. I would expect it that they would actually take its story seriously, especially when you look at, like Zelda stories. Like, I like Ocarina of Time a lot, I like Majora's Mask a lot, I like Breath of the Wild a lot, and those are games that have really competent stories that take itself seriously, and they do a good job. And so I would really hope that they would do the same with Zelda. They would make a good story, they take itself seriously, and they do a really good job with it. So I hope that they do Nintendo Cinematic Universe. That's really the one I want to realistically see the most. I would love to see a good Metroid movie, even though I'm not really into horror. I feel like that would be, they can do that really, really well. And Fire Emblem would be nice, too. I mean, I would hope with Fire Emblem they go for an original story rather than like doing like a retelling of Awakening or Three Houses or something. But that would be sick too. So I hope, listen, it would be nice to see more good video game adaptations. So I hope we see some more in the future. And so really, yeah, I think I've rambled on long enough. Thank you. If you made it to the end of this video, thank you so much. It's nice to know that, I can just ramble and you guys will watch. I mean, I know I haven't really gotten to that point yet, but that's the point I'm hoping to get to. And so I really appreciate anybody who's watched this far. Thank you. Seriously, thank you. It's you people that are making me feel like this is something I can do. Not so much, I'm not talking about doing it as a living. I'm talking about doing it as for fun, doing it as a hobby that I do just while I live my life. And so I really, really appreciate all you guys who watch. Anybody who clicked on this video, really thank you. And I hope you'll stay around for more. If you want to see more stuff like this, like and subscribe, baby. I got another, I know it's been a bit since my last review. I got another one that I want to do soon. I just gotta get this one up first, but, Star Wars The Clone Wars Season 3 review is happening. I don't know how many of you guys have looked at that community post saying that this is happening. I swear it is actually happening. I'm going to record it, soon after I finish this video. So that one is happening. Fellowship of the Ring book review, that is still coming. I just haven't finished that book yet. Other stuff, other stuff that I've watched that will be coming too. Maybe I'll do a video game review at some point for something I played. So I don't know. This is just going to be something I just like talking about, this sort of stuff. So if you want to see more, like and subscribe. Definitely stay tuned for more. And I hope that if you clicked on this video, you'll find my clips entertaining too. So with that, thank you guys so much for watching. I said that all already. And that's really gonna do it for me. So thanks everybody. Peace. Peace. There we go. I don't know what that was before.